The creative was written by Bruce Nesmith, designer Bruce Nesmith, editor Dory Jean Waltree, cover artist Brom, interior artist Dave Simmons, and typesetting Angela Lukatz. Table of contents. Setting the stage. Opening act. Enter the villain. Interlude. Dim the lights. Curtain call. Malignio. Player's map of Odier. Excerpts from Giuseppe's notes. And MC entry, The Carrionet. MC stands for Monstrous Compendium. Setting the stage. The Dungeon Master should be certain to read this entire adventure before play. This module is suitable for player characters of levels 2 through 4. Many of the monsters in this adventure are from the Ravenloft campaign appendix of the Monstrous Compendium. If the DM doesn't own this product, he or she can substitute the creatures shown in parentheses. In many places, there are pronunciation guides for words. These syllables are separated by hyphens, and the syllable that receives the emphasis appears in capital letters. When pronouncing the names and pretending to talk like the non-player characters, the DM should adopt an Italian accent to enliven the role-playing. Don't worry about accuracy. Go ahead and ham it up. Fear and horror checks. Fear and horror checks are always optional. If one is called for, it is recommended that the DM allow the players a few moments to decide upon a reaction. If a PC's reaction shows good role-playing of fear and or horror, then the DM can let that PC skip a check. If a character acts nonchalant or cavalier in the face of absolute horror, however, then you should apply the check. Any player who does a good job of role-playing may be able to play the entire adventure without making any checks. The player will remain in control of his or her character as long as the player acts appropriately. If the player doesn't do a good job of role-playing, then the dice will make the decisions for him or her. The PCs must make fear and horror checks and suffer the consequences. It is possible that the player will lose control of his or her character via a failed horror check for short periods of time. Adventure background. Giuseppe is a puppeteer and a doll maker. He is an elderly man who lives alone and has no friends. Over the years, he became obsessed with the idea of creating the perfect puppet, for it would be the child that he never had. Giuseppe dreamed of the puppet a long time before he began the actual work. He knew exactly which wood he would use, what colors he would paint, and so... let me try that again. He knew exactly which wood he would use, what colors of paint he would select, and so forth. In his loneliness, he poured so much of himself into that doll. When it was finally finished, it became animated with a life of its own. Delighted with his work, Giuseppe named the puppet... Delighted with his work, Giuseppe named the puppet Figlio and presented him to the town. While the doll maker adored his creation, most of the townsfolk did not. The adults of Odiere didn't believe in Figlio, and the puppet grew to hate them even more than he hated not being real. Even Giuseppe believed Figlio was a little more than a puppet, and Figlio's heart filled with hatred for his maker. The children of Odiere were a different matter, however, for they believed in Figlio. Let me do that again. Even Giuseppe believed Figlio was little more than a puppet, and Figlio's heart filled with hatred for his maker. The children of Odiere were a different matter, however, for they believed in Figlio. The puppet hatched a plot. He would kill all the adults of Odiere. With only the children left, Figlio could play all day and be given the adoration he deserved. The angry puppet coerced Giuseppe into making more puppets. Each was a living doll, but cold and inhuman, not like Figlio. To Giuseppe's horror, they obeyed Figlio and ignored their true creator. The puppet hatched a plot. He would kill all the adults of Odier. With only the children left, Figlio could play all day and be given the adoration he deserved. The angry puppet coerced Giuseppe into making more puppets. Each was a living doll, but cold and inhuman, not like Figlio. To Giuseppe's horror, they obeyed Figlio and ignored their true creator. During a theater show, Figlio's carionettes, as he called the puppets, slew all the adults present but spared the children. This heinous act carved out a small domain in Ravenloft just for Figlio, and the entire town was transported to the demiplane of dread. That night, Figlio renamed himself Maligno. He sent his carionettes into the streets to look for other adults so that the puppets could take over those bodies. They would become the new adults of Odier, all loyal to Maligno. Maligno, in turn, tried to take over the body of Giuseppe. He discovered that the demiplane of Ravenloft confers a curse upon all its lords. He alone, of all the carionettes, is unable to inhabit a human body. To this day, Maligno burns with rage and frustration. He keeps Giuseppe prisoner, forcing him to make more carionettes as the puppet needs them. The characters start this adventure in a small town in their normal campaign world, before the town becomes part of the Ravenloft demiplane. In this product, the town is named Odier, but you are welcome to rename it to suit your own campaign. You will need to either place a town of this name somewhere in your campaign, or change the name of the town to match one of yours. As the adventure opens, there is a festival in the town celebrating Bambidine. Bambidine? No. Bambine. Yeah, Bambine. I knew that. I said it right the first time. As the adventure opens, there is a festival in town celebrating Bambine. Bambine is a spring holiday honoring life, growth, and the children in particular. The following text should be read to the players. The sun is shining brightly over the sleepy town of Odier. The buildings are decorated with ribbons and splashed with flowers. Everyone is in the streets, gaily bustling along. Children holding dolls and other toys dash underfoot. Peddlers hawk holiday wares from hastily assembled stalls. Toys and brightly colored scarves predominate the market. Even the adults are buying the goods. Choose a player in your group most likely to respond to the following situation. A pretty maiden or a handsome young man, Sophia or Antonio, as appropriate, approaches the player. She coyly offers a doll, a marionette, to this player character, saying, "Are you going to the puppet show tonight?" A marionette is a gift to the character in the spirit of Bambine. If the character refuses the toy, he or she looks hurt and moves away, dangling the toy. As you will see later, this puppet is actually a carionette. If the character accepts, Sophia or Antonio arranges to meet the character outside the Seclo theater at sunset. Shortly after this event, a passerby drapes a scarf over a different character's shoulder and then skips away, laughing merrily. After that, an old woman gently offers a flower to one of the characters. Neither of these events is significant, but both helps to establish the festival atmosphere. DM notes. The town of Odier. The streets are 15 feet wide and the alleys are about 5 feet wide. They are all paved with cobblestones. Most of the buildings in this sleepy little town are 2 stories tall. Most have a basement of some sort. The buildings tend to be made of wood and plaster with wooden shingles. Glass windows are common. Unless otherwise specified, all the doors to the businesses are unlocked, and doors to the residences are locked. Most buildings have a trade or business on the first floor, and the second floor is living quarters. For the shopkeeper and his or her family. Most buildings have a trade or business on the first floor, and the second floor is living quarters for the shopkeeper and his or her family. A few of the wealthier business people have separate homes. When Maligno commits his vile crime in the theater and the domain of Odier forms, an eternal night falls over the town and the vacant streets become hazy with a light fog. The town map. Before the incident at the theater, see page B10, the town of Odier is like any other town. The map shown on the gatefold cover is just the center of town. At this point, ignore the boundaries and the wraparound street rules. On the following pages, you will find a list of businesses in the town and descriptions of important places. As soon as Maligno does away with the adults in the theater, Odier becomes a domain in Ravenloft. The town is then restricted to the small square shown on the map. Each of the roads exiting the map connects to a road on the other side, which leads right back in. A PC fleeing west or any other direction will eventually end up right back where he started. Along the domain boundaries at the roof level is the infamous misty border of Ravenloft. In the unlikely event that a PC climbs across the roofs of the buildings or flies out of the town without using the streets, find a logical place to have him or her re-enter via the opposite side. 1. Alchemist. Aragon is a fraud. Most of his mixtures don't do anything. 7. Apothecary. Hazel can make you a variety of potions, including Potion of Delusion, Elixir of Health, Potion of Heroism, Oil of Acid Resistance, and Poison. She is one of the Carionet's first victims. After the encounter at the Seclo Theater, she is possessed by one. 9. Flophouse. For 1 silver piece, a character gets a small bed and a rough blanket in a common room. 14. Silversmith. A careful search of the silversmith's shop will turn up a small case of 36 silver needles. The PCs will discover that, if they have doll bodies, they can use these needles exactly the same way the Carionets can. See page 31. 15. Toymaker. This is Giuseppe's shop and home. A complete map and description of it can be found later on in this adventure. Pages 18 through 22. 21. Seclo Theater. See pages 8 to 10 for a complete description and map. 29. Boarding house. These are homes that rent out rooms. Usually the room must be rented for a week at a time. It costs 3 gold pieces to rent a room for 2 people. An evening meal is included for that price. 35. Constabulary. This is where Aldo works and lives. It is a jail and a courthouse all in one. Talk about convenient. 36. Inn. It costs a gold piece a night to stay here. Each room can hold 2 people comfortably and can sleep up to 6 packed in like sardines. Each extra pallet costs a silver piece a night. Food is extra, usually a silver piece for a meal. 41. Temple. The temple serves many roles for the townsfolk. It is a source of magical healing and other cures. Weddings and burials are handled by the temple, although the body is actually prepared in the Undertaker's building next door. 42. Undertaker. Owned by the temple and operated by the priests and clerics, it is effectively a part of the temple, although it is a separate building with its own special purposes. 43. Town Square. This open area is filled with people and vendors' carts before the domain is created. In the center of the square is a statue about 10 feet tall of a smiling young woman holding a laughing child. After the domain has been formed, there is a single abandoned cart with 2 large wooden wheels in the square. The statue is changed subtly. The woman's posture and shape are the same, but the face is now an expression of sorrow. The child is now a marionette with an evil expression. Neither of these changes is apparent unless someone looks directly at the statue or has cause to examine it. Opening Act. Opening Act. First Blood. Let the players wander the streets for a while and enjoy the party. Storm clouds are building on the horizon. In a few hours, the clouds will be overhead. The characters don't know it yet, but the sleepy little town of Odier is about to enter the demiplane of dread. In a while, just as the clouds obscure the sun, the bright light of the sun goes dim. The storm clouds that have been edging nearer to Odier are now upon the town. Rain threatens to fall. The vendors are hurriedly putting up tarps over their stalls, but the darkening skies have no effect on the gaiety of the townsfolk. Suddenly, you hear a shriek from above. Looking up, you see a woman leaning out of a second-story window. Her face is stricken with terror. "Help!" she cries. "Murderer! There's a murderer loose!" Her cries continue, growing less coherent by the moment. The crowd below her window quiets in shock for a moment, and then the people's voices swell in dismay. Laughter and joy have been replaced with whispers of horror. The PCs are in an ideal position to be the first people on the scene of the crime. The front door is right above them and is unlocked. They can barge right in and begin the investigation. The constable, Aldo, will arrive in a few rounds and offer to deputize them on the spot. If the PCs wait too long, several rounds, Aldo will arrive. He offers to deputize the characters instantly. If they accept, he orders them to shoo the bystanders away and then vanishes into the dark doorway. If they don't follow him of their own accord, he calls for them after a few rounds. What the PCs don't know is that Odier has begun its transition into the demiplane of dread. The sun will never again shine on this town. The rest of the day is overcast with storm clouds. When the night falls, it will never lift. Certino Home. This is the home of Franco and Maria Certino and their daughter, Gisela. It is a simple structure, roughly 20 feet square and 2 stories tall. It is marked on the domain map. The first floor is a single room that serves as a kitchen, dining room, and living room. It is full of the normal clutter of a home. Clothes lay stacked on a table, tools hang on the wall, toys lay discarded on the floor, etc. This is not a wealthy home. The woman on the balcony is Maria Certino, and she races to the PCs. She is almost incoherent, but she manages to babble something about, "He's a dead! He's a dead! Upstairs! He's a dead! The second floor has 2 small bedrooms. Hanging curtains divide them from the stairs. Either bedroom can be entered without disturbing the other. The bedroom on the right belongs to the parents. One on the left is for their child Giselle, and it doubles as a storeroom. As the characters reach the top of the steps, they can hear a child's voice crooning out a lullaby from the room on the left. In the parents' bedroom, the coarse sheets and furs of the bed are twisted and stretched between the frame and the body of a man. He lies tangled amid the bedclothes. Sightless eyes are staring at some imagined horror. His throat has been slit. The side of his mouth are cut open, making it look like a clown's oversized smile. Rosy circles have been painted onto his cheeks, and it appears to be done in blood. In the child's bedroom, a little girl, maybe 7 years old, sits on a small bed, hugging a wooden painted puppet and singing softly to herself. Her attention is totally focused on the doll. She doesn't even acknowledge your existence. The room is clean, but the floor is strewn with toys and dolls. Investigating the murder. Viewing the slain body of Franco Certino is a cause for a mild horror check, +2 bonus. Aldo the constable is of little help. He bustles about, looking busy and asking useless questions. If this mystery is going to be solved, the PCs are going to have to do it. If Giselle's room is searched, a small, bloody knife is found. It is poorly concealed under her bedsheets. The blade is no more than 4 inches long. Giselle is in a state of shock. She will not respond to many questions. She will talk about her doll named Knuckles, but she won't let go of it voluntarily. Giselle will state proudly, "He can dance and sing, you know." She hugs it close to herself at all times. If asked about the bloody knife, she says, He made me hide it for him." She refuses to identify this person further, saying, He said he'd hurt me if I say his name." Although the characters don't know it yet, Knuckles is a carrionet. With the innocence that only a child possesses, Giselle accepts the fact that he can walk and talk. Knuckles is her bestest friend, and she will do anything to protect him. Under no circumstances will the carrionet harm Giselle or any other child. Franco saw Knuckles moving of his own accord and talking to Giselle. The puppet killed Franco to prevent him from spreading the word about the carrionets. Franco would have ruined Maligno's plan to massacre the grown-ups at the theater tonight. Through a combination of threats and promises, Knuckles coerced Giselle to hide the knife. Giselle refuses to acknowledge that her doll did anything wrong. She will also deny that her father is dead, saying instead that he is away and will return in a few days. Deep inside, she knows the truth, but refuses to admit it. There is precious little more the PCs can discover here. Nobody on the street saw anyone enter or leave the home. The alley behind the house is devoid of clues. When the PCs leave the Certino home, Maria has quieted enough to care and comfort her little daughter. Enter the villain. Once the PCs have done as much as possible at the Certino home, they are likely to attend the play at the Seclo Theater. See the theater's map on the following page. The theater is actually two buildings. One fronts the street, while the other is accessible only from the alley. Both buildings rise 2 stories high, although the theater property merely has a ceiling where the other actually has 2 floors. If the characters ever return to this building after the encounter with Maligno, they see a ghostly theater program. The spirits of all the dead adults can be seen sitting in the seats, watching the empty stage. Nothing happens on the stage the entire time, though. The ghosts comfort and pick up unseen children. Seeing this audience is a cause for a mild horror check with a +2 bonus. 1. Audience seating. The benches are simply made to hold 5 to 8 people. Close to the stage, between the 2 rows of benches, is a dead body. When Maligno failed to take possession of Giuseppe's body, he had one of the captive adults brought forward. He tried to enter this poor man's body instead. When that attempt failed, Maligno killed the man in rage and frustration. The man was killed exactly the same manner as was Franco Certino. The throat was slit and the face is grotesquely carved to look like a mockery of a clown. 2. Stage. The stage is 3 feet above the floor level. Shallow steps on the right provide an easy ascent. The stage area has 3 sets of curtains. The forward curtain is red, the center one is gold, and the last curtain is purple. There are 6 trap doors on the stage. They lead to a crawl space under the stage. The crawl space is just over 5 feet high and filled with wooden supports. Each trapdoor has a removable, stout log to brace it from underneath. A single door, hidden by the final curtain, leads to the rear building. 3. Giuseppe's Puppet Theater. This mini theater is a total of 8 feet tall. The central cavity for the puppets is 6 feet wide and 3 feet high. Its floor is 3 feet above the stage floor. The puppeteer stands on a bench behind the theater. He can reach over the back wall and dangle the marionettes down onto the stage without being seen by the audience. The cavity beneath the puppet theater is filled with stage props and marionettes. Real dolls, not carionettes. 4. Staging area. This empty area where the actors wait until they are cued for the stage. The door exits at stage height, which is 3 feet above the floor. A small wooden stair has been shoved up to the doorway. Another stair leads down the 3 feet to a landing. A 5-foot-high door leads from the landing to the crawl space under the stage. The door has no lock. In the back of this room is a narrow set of stairs leading to the 2nd floor. The hallway in back is quite narrow, just over 4 feet wide. It ends in a locked door leading to the alley. 5. Prop room. This room is about 17 feet square. The walls are lined with shelves and cabinets. A wide variety of theater props fill these shelves and cabinets. Everything looks real at a distance or in poor lighting, but in reality is totally fake. There are weapons, armor, furniture, pots, stuffed animals, scrolls, backpacks, and more in here. 6. Changing rooms. There are 2 of these, one slightly smaller than the other. Men use one room and women the other when changing costumes. Mirrors, wall pegs, chairs, and small tables crowd these 10 by 7 foot rooms. Pots of flour and various berry juices used for makeup sit on small tables near the mirrors. 7. Upstairs room. This outer room holds basic supplies for the theater. It is also where Dorn, the caretaker, lives. Dom. 7. Upstairs room. This outer room holds basic supplies for the theater. It is also where Dom, the caretaker, lives. Dom is a young man, obviously unmarried, whose job it is to clean and maintain the theater. He also acts as a night guard, although he has no combat skills whatsoever. He has the keys for all the doors. By the time the PCs might ever meet him, Dom has been taken over by a carrionet. 8. Costume room. This room is about 30 feet by 20 feet in size. These walls are filled with racks of clothes. Boxes under the racks hold shoes, fabrics, and fake jewelry. In the center of the room are a couple of tables and chairs and a good section of tools for tailoring costumes. Terror at the theater. Terror at the theater. At sunset, a puppet show is planned at the Seclo Theater. It is most likely that the PCs will attend the show after calming Maria Sortino. Remember, they were invited either by Sophia or Antonio. If they do not, however, have Aldo collect them after he is contacted by a man named Gerardo. At the start of the show, Giuseppe introduces himself, and then Figlio as his prize puppet. The show begins with a typical Punch and Judy routine, and nothing should seem amiss. Shortly after the show is started, the PCs are called out of the theater by Aldo the constable. He has a suspect at the jail. The suspect is a nearly comatose bum who lives in the alley behind the Sortino's home. Aldo is convinced that the witch committed the murder. Of course, he has no evidence, no confession, and no witnesses. Eventually, he releases the poor man with an admonishment. And don't you ever catch me back in here again. Meanwhile, at the performance, Giuseppe calls all the children forward so they can see better. While they watch the show, enchanted, Maligno's carionets are busy paralyzing and carrying away the adults. This single act wipes out more than half the adults in the town. It seals Maligno's fate to become a domain lord in the demiplane of dread. None of the children see what happens behind them. They are all too busy watching the show. Afterward, Maligno tells the children's lies about why their parents vanished. As the children wander into the streets to enjoy their empty homes, the other adults of the community find them and discover that many of the people vanished in the theater. Alarmed, they send someone to find Aldo and his newly sworn-in deputies. All the while, the carionets ambush the few remaining adults in Odier with the intent to take over their bodies. A man named Gerardo busts into the constabulary where Aldo and the PCs have just finished interrogating the suspect bum. He cries, "The show at the Seclo Theater tonight. Some things have happened. They've all vanished. Only the children are left. You have to do something. You have to do something." He urges Aldo and the PCs to go to the theater and find the missing people. He will guide them to the theater if they insist, but he leaves for home as soon as possible. When describing the streets, remember that it is now always nightfall. The streets are dark and empty and hazy. Lamplights on the street corners, held aloft on lamp poles, flickered gently, shedding a soft radiance in a small circle. The buildings are mostly dark. A few show a single lamp in the window, but they are empty, as if someone has hastily left. The cobblestone alleys are devoid of people. This is the way Odier looks for the rest of the adventure. The sun will never again rise here, and there is no moon. A thin haze limits the visibility to about 120 feet. Beyond that, the street lights can't even penetrate. From this time forward, the streets of Odier twist in on themselves. See map on the cover of the domain description, page 4. All roads lead back into the town. Investigation. When the PCs arrive at the theater to investigate, they see a darkened building. A hand-painted sign above the door reads, "Giuseppe, the Puppet Master, performs tonight." To the side doors. The 2 side doors are locked, although they can be picked. The large double doors are currently unlocked. The children are all gone. The adults have been done away with, leaving an empty theater. Empty, that is, except for Giuseppe and the Carionettes. If the PCs attend the beginning of the show, they will immediately recognize Giuseppe and Figlio. The inside of the theater is dark. Rows of empty benches face the stage at different angles. Illuminated in lantern light on the stage is an old man wearing a well-worn finery, standing next to a puppet. Theater that has been erected on the stage. A wooden puppet stands motionless in the puppet theater, strings stretched taut. The old man startles as if he notices you. Fear sweeps over his face as he cries, "Stop them, Figlio! Don't let them get to me! Don't let them get to me! Not to my boy! Not to my boy!" The wooden puppet's head snaps up. Its eyes swivel to seek you out. It shrieks, "Carionettes! Attack the trespassers!" And chills sweep your spine. Suddenly, small shapes swarm out from under the front rows of the benches. Each puppet is a string. Each puppet with strings hanging behind it on the floor. The lantern light glints off the vicious little blades and sharp needles that they carry. "What had done to my boy? Not to my boy. My boy's sweet to my boy. My wooden boy." The Carionettes were seated under the row of benches closest to the stage, listening to Maligno, or Feligno, as Giuseppe insists on calling him, and Giuseppe. Seeing Maligno in the wave of animated marionettes is cause for a horror check. While the characters battle the Carionettes, Giuseppe sweeps up Maligno and flees through the door out the back of the stage. He is out of view almost immediately. It is possible that the PCs will have a chance to shoot arrows or some other missile weapons at Giuseppe. Regardless of how much damage they do, the old man isn't killed. If Giuseppe loses all his hit points due to his wounds, a squad of Carionettes carries his unconscious body away. Carionettes, 12. Alignment, chaotic evil. Intelligence, average. AC, 6. Movement, 6. Hit dice, 2. Hit points, 10 each. Thaco, 19. Number of attacks, 1. Damage, 1. Special attack, paralyzation, possession, DM fiat. Special defense, immune to poison, cold, electricity, mental spells, and player machinations. Magic resistance, nil. Size, tiny, 6 inches to 2 feet tall. Morale, fearless, 20. XP, 975. Interlude. As the PCs try to chase down Maligno and Giuseppe, they will inevitably wander the streets. Give the players a photocopy of the town and street map provided in the back of this adventure, page 29. It shows them what they remember of Odier's layout, roughly centered on the town square. A few landmark buildings are shown as well. If they spent any significant time in any particular building before the events of the theater, mark it for the players. As the PCs wander around the town, let them fill in their photocopy of the map. As they reach the edges where the map wraps around on itself, tell them where they pass the landmark buildings on the other side of the map. They will quickly get the idea that the map circles back in on itself, although they may not actually figure out how. Characters that wander off by themselves are especially vulnerable. Any character alone for 5 or more rounds is automatically overwhelmed by the Carionettes and his body is taken over. Do not tell the players that this has happened. Let the players keep controlling his character. The now Carionette will just go with the flow, letting his actions be dictated by the group's decisions. Whether the character was doing Whatever the character was doing by himself automatically amounts to nothing. Even if you must outright lie, tell the player that his character saw nothing of interest, found nothing, the door was locked, or whatever was appropriate. Basically, the carionet in control of the PC. The PC will not get away with anything of importance. Any character who wanders off for 5 or more rounds with another character who is controlled by carionet is also automatically taken over by a carionet. It is actually possible for all the PCs to be taken over by carionets before they know what really happened. If this happens, they awaken in the birdcage as described in Awakening in the Toy Shop. Dim the lights. Tell the players what happened to them when they wake up. As the characters wander the streets of Odier, searching for clues to the whereabouts of Maligno and Giuseppe, they are also subject to normal attacks by the carionets. There is no set time period to roll to determine when such an attack occurs. You should decide for yourself when the time is right. Below are just a few sample encounter beginnings that you can use. They can be used anytime the characters are walking around in the streets. Charge! A batch of 6 carionets grab a pitchfork up from a stable. They hide around a corner in an alley or in a darkened doorway. When the PCs comes by, they level the pitchfork at knee height and charge. Roll for surprise. The pitchfork has a Seclo of 19 and inflicts 1d6 points of damage. After the charge, the doll may stay and fight, using their needles or flee. Peekaboo! One carionet lets itself be seen at the opening. It immediately turns and flees inside. Just inside the entrance to the alley, obscured by the shadows, is a tripwire. Anyone running at full tilt into the alley will fall. Normal movement allows the character a dexterity check. Cautious movement automatically detects the wire. Once on the ground, 4 carionets swarm over the downed character and thrust needles into his or her limbs, with the +3 bonus to hit. Other denizens. The creation of the domain of Odier has caused a few other creatures to become menaces. Giant rats now roam the alleys and are sometimes bold enough to attack people. Be sure to use the morale rules with the rats. See the DMG. The odds are that they will flee before doing any serious harm. Giant rats. 1d6 plus 6. Alignment, neutral. Evil. Intelligence semi, AC 7. Movement 12. Hit dice, 1/2. Hit points 4. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. 2, 2, 1, 3. Because, you know, they come in packs. They hunt in packs. So there's all your pack hit points. So convenient. Seclo 20. Number of attacks 1. Damage 1d3. Special attacks 0. Special defense 0. Magic resistance 0. Size tiny. 2 feet long. Morale, jeez, we just talked about it. I just went in the vapor. You just watched somebody go into vapor lock over that. Morale, unsteady, 5, which means they have, you know, that's the number we talked about, 5. XP, 15 each. So yeah, that what I just if that's D20, you know, it wouldn't be that hard to figure out what you would need in order to stick around. You know, you would say he'd have to roll 5 or under if I was to do that. If I was to work, just port that system over. All right. Runaway carriage. The carionets have runaway carriage. The carionets have commandeered a carriage from the stable. The carriage has 2 horses, each with a carionet clinging to its mane. Another carionet holds the reins on the driver's seat. 4 more stand atop the carriage, ready to leap upon the PCs as they go by. Since the carionets are lousy coach drivers, they have little control over the horses. The PCs first hear the clatter of hooves and wagon wheels coming towards them. Then the carriage bursts out of the hazy, shrouded mist, careening towards the PCs. Any PC who declares he is seeking cover can automatically avoid the horses. Any PCs who tries to remain in the street, even for a single round, must make a saving throw versus breath weapon to avoid being trampled. Being trampled causes 66 points of damage. This could well kill a character, so if you wish to avoid that result, have a character be reduced to 1 hit point instead. Children. There are frequent encounters with wandering children. Most are just playing in the streets. None are in any danger. Boarding party. A band of 7 carionettes tied strings to lampposts and are waiting nearby on roofs. When the PCs are in position, the carionettes will launch themselves and swing down onto the PCs. The puppets are, of course, wearing pirate hats and eye patches. As it swings, each doll holds a silver needle forward like a lance, with a Seclo of 20. The force of the swing allows it to do 1 point of damage, as well as a possible paralyzation. Each puppet that scores a hit has a 50% chance of clinging to the PC. Once there, it automatically hits for 1 point of damage, or can attempt to paralyze a limb with a normal attack. Ankle biters. A horde of carionettes, 10, swarms out of a sewer hole as the PCs come across it. The puppets race up the characters and attack. 1 carionette per PC attempts to climb its victim's back, using its climb walls ability. All the other carionettes attack the legs of the PCs, trying to paralyze them. On the second round of the combat, the carionettes on a PC's back will attack his or her arms, trying to paralyze those limbs. Shadowed. The PCs hear noises on a roof from a nearby house. Any looking up from the street sees a tiny man-like shape nimbly scooting across the roof. There is no combat in this encounter, but the sight of the carionettes following the characters around should give them the creeps. After the attack at the Seclo theater, Maligno recognizes that the PCs are a genuine threat to him, so he prepares a trap at the toy shop. Giuseppe's toy shop is lit up like a lighthouse beacon, for every lamp in the place is lit. All the PCs will notice the light as soon as they round the corner and sight the shop. To ambush the PCs, Maligno takes 5 life-size rag dolls and ties their hands behind their back, puts sacks over their heads. Maligno then animates them with his innate power so that they struggle and wiggle around a bit, very lifelike. Since all that are visible are the clothes on the dolls are wearing, their hands and heads are hidden. They look for all the world like real people. Maligno and 4 of his carionettes then use their ventriloquism powers to make a muffled cry for help. At some point, one of the PCs will pull a sack off the doll's head or do something else that alerts the PCs to the ruse. At that point, Maligno and his carionette crew attack. 8 carionettes on the roof throw a net over any PC standing outside the building. A save versus breath weapon is necessary to avoid it. The carionettes then leap from the roof onto the PCs and begin to stab them with silver needles. Any PCs who have been taken over by carionettes now turn traitor, as the DM passes a note to each player controlled by a carionette, telling him or her that the puppets capture, not kill, the other PCs. Inside the toy shop, Maligno himself leads 10 carionettes to the attack. He uses whatever powers are necessary to subdue the characters. In particular, he attempts to touch the PCs and make them dance. If he sees anyone running away, he uses his taunt ability to try to make them return to the fray. Carionettes 18, alignment chaotic evil, intelligence average, AC 6, movement 6, HD 2, HP 10 each. Seclo 19, number of attacks 1, damage 1, special attack paralyzation possession, special defense immune to poison, cold, electricity, mental spells, magic resistance nil, size T, tiny, 1 inch tall, 1 foot tall, morale level fearless, XP 975 each. Maligno, alignment chaotic evil, intelligence Exceptional, Armor Class 4, Movement 9, Hit Die 6, Hit Points 30, Seclo 15, Number of Attacks 1, Damage 1d3, Special Attack, Otto's Irresistible Dance, Ventriloquism, Taunt, Paralyze, Animate Toy. Special Defense, Immune to Poison, Cold, Electricity, most spells. Magic rating, nil. Magic resistance, nil. Size, tiny. If the tide turns and it looks like he will be defeated or even captured, Maligno will flee. He will not animate any toys until the situation gets this desperate. He can flee through either door or up the stairs. If he is out of view for 2 rounds or more, he is gone and cannot be found. When running this adventure, be strictly honest. The adventure will work quite well whether the PCs are captured or are victorious. If they defeat Maligno here, they can investigate the toy shop and learn how to escape the domain. See Giuseppe's Toy Shop, page 18. If the PCs are defeated, then they end up in the doll bodies. See Awakening in the Toy Shop below. Let the player's skill and luck determine how the encounter goes. Awakening in the Toy Shop. This section of the adventure is played only if the PCs are captured by the Carionettes. When the characters wake up, they are in the bodies of dolls. Their new doll forms have been placed in round wooden bird cages and suspended about a foot from the ceiling. The sight of their possessed bodies and their current plight is cause for a horror check. You awaken to find yourself in a round wooden cage suspended from the ceiling by massive brass chains. Your first movements make the cage sway slightly. Carefully peering out, the sight that grabs your eyes chills you to the bone. You see a giant-sized doppelganger of yourself and of each of your companions that stands fully 30 feet tall. The room must have 40 feet ceilings where your cage hangs. No, not like that. I'm going to do that again. I'm sorry. The room must be 40 feet at the ceiling where your cage hangs. One of the doppelganger giants gives you a cold, malicious glance as it flies out of the shop with the others. As they depart, your perceptions correct themselves. You feel as though you are looking at an inverted, flat line drawing of a 3-dimensional object. Your doppelganger body was normal size. It was you who have shrunk. Then, a glance at your body reveals an even more horrifying fact. You are inhabiting the body of a doll. Escaping the cages. The doors to the cages have a stiff piece of wire twisted around them, making them impossible for the characters to open. The bars of the cage are too thick and too sturdy for the puppets to break, bend, or squeeze through. These birds' cages were never meant to hold creatures with hands, however. While the Carionettes and the PC stolen bodies secured the doors, they neglected to do anything about the chains that hold the cages suspended from the ceiling. Any character can reach through the top of the cage and unclasp the chain. Of course, undoing the chain means that your cage will fall. The cage will take a quite jolt, enough to give it a 50% chance of cracking or bending in a vital place that will allow the PC doll to escape. Naturally, the PC doll also suffers a fall, and he or she takes 1d6 points of damage unless a save versus fall is made. If none of the cages are harmed enough to crack open, then the last cage to fall cracks open automatically. There is a clever way to avoid having the cage fall. Several strings dangle from each PC doll. Tied together, each PC strings form a single strand about 6 feet long. Working together, the PC dolls may get enough string to lower one doll's cage to the floor. If this string is looped through the chain and tied to the top of the cage, the PC can undo the cage from the chain and keep it suspended by holding it tight to the string. By letting out the string a little at a time, the cage can gently be lowered to the floor. Once even a single doll is free, he or she can release the others. The two dolls working together can untwist the wire that closes a cage door. The combat abilities of the PCs as dolls are found on pages 17 and 18. Escaping the toy shop. The toy shop is littered with animated toys, all set to prevent the characters from escaping. In fact, there are so many that all of them immediately assault the PCs, they'll be doomed. Maligno wants the PCs alive, but trapped in doll bodies. If they die while in doll bodies, then the carionettes inhabiting their living bodies die also. Therefore, Maligno has given specific orders to the toys to prevent the escape of the PCs, but not to kill them. The toys will generally act to drive the PCs back from the windows, doors, and stairs. They don't mind causing damage, but they will avoid attacking with a good chance of destruction. For example, the toys will knock the PCs off the tables, drag them away from the doors and windows, block exits, etc. As long as the PCs stay well away from the doors, windows, and stairs, the toys will leave the PC dolls alone. The toys will also chase the PCs upstairs should they try to go there. Note, the toys don't consider the fireplace to be an exit, and they will not take action if the PCs attempt to climb out of the flue. Of course, the animated toys will defend themselves if attacked. Once outside the shop, the animated toys won't pursue the characters. They have done their job and failed. The one creature in the toy shop that is not following Maligno's rules is Gato. Gato is a normal house cat who spends most of his time upstairs. If the characters venture up there in an attempt to escape, they are sure to run into him. Gato loves to chase the small creatures, such as PCs and doll bodies. He will attack the PC dolls. Gato is curled up in the bed. Area U. His morale is normal, at 2, but against the dolls it is at 11. He is capable of 1 round burst of speed for a movement of 18. Gato the house cat. Alignment neutral, intelligence animal, armor class 6, movement 6, hit die 1, hit points 4, Thaco 20, number of attacks 3, damage 1d2, 1-1, special attack rear claws. Yeah, watch out for them dew claws. Man. Train of thought. Where was I? Rear claws. Okay. 1d2, 1d2. If both front paws hit. Special defense, nil. Magic resistance, nil. Size, tiny. Morale, 2 and 11. Experience, 7. You don't get shit for killing a house cat. I mean, probably had it coming. Anyway, the PCs as dolls. When in the body of dolls, the PCs do not have their characters' class abilities. Wizards and priests can't cast spells, warriors don't have their combat abilities, and rogues lose their thief skills. You're basically just a walking doll. PC doll abilities. Armor class 6, movement 2, 12 in small scale. Hit die 2, hit points 16, Thaco 19, number of attacks 1, damage per attack 1, special defenses. At least you got something here. You're immune to poison, cold, electricity, mental spells. Save versus falls 5, size tiny. Alright, let me get back up here. So that's kind of like what you'd be looking at. Yeah, so that's pretty much what you're looking at. I mean, I think it would be frightening. Oops, sorry. All right. Did size of movement falls? We're on falls, right? No, size of movement. Sorry, size of movement. With the PCs being only 1 foot tall, they are 1/2 the height of a normal. 1/6. Sorry, I couldn't see it real well. I had to lean in. With the PCs only being 1 foot tall, they are 1/6 the height of a normal man. To keep the math easier, assume they are 1/6 the man's height, and that all the distances are 5 times normal. Therefore, a table whose surface is really 3 feet off the ground is effectively 15 feet high. A room 20 feet across is treated as if it were 100 feet across. A carionette has a movement rate of 6 compared to a human's movement rate of 12. The carionette is far less than half the size of a human, but its magical nature allows it unnatural speed at that size. Unfortunately for the PCs, they don't get the benefit of that magic. They move at 1/5 or 1/6, depending on how your eyes are, normal speed, which is 20 feet per round, half if attacking in the same round. Falls. A carionette body can take a lot of abuse that the flesh cannot. A wooden doll body gets an item saving throw versus fall. A wooden doll body gets an item saving throw versus fall to avoid all falling damage. However, since they are built more delicately than a simple block of wood, there's a -3 penalty. Thus, they have a saving throw versus falling of 5. Simply put, they rarely take damage from falls. If the doll fails to save, he takes 1d6 points of damage for each 10 feet or a fraction thereof that he falls. Rules for falling are also used for being battered around, thrown, propelled, or otherwise heaved across the room. Unless unusual force is used, only 1d6 points of damage is possible when throwing or batting around the doll. Death. The PCs do enjoy some benefits as dolls. The principal benefit is that it is almost impossible to destroy their doll bodies. Reducing them to 0 hit points or below will render the body inert and not dead. The doll can't move unless repairs have been made, but the character in that body is still alive. Only fire will permanently destroy the carionette body. Burns can never be repaired, and once the body suffers a full hit point damage in burns, the doll body and the character are both dead. Assuming the PCs in their doll bodies have had some string and some glue, they can actually repair themselves. Repairs can be attempted only once the doll body is at or below 0 hit points, however. The PCs are not skilled craftsmen like Giuseppe. When they make repairs, it takes half an hour and leaves the PC doll with 1d6 plus 2 total hit points, regardless how far below 0 the doll went. Remember, burn damage cannot be repaired. Alright, Giuseppe's Toy Shop. There are 2 entrances to the store, one opening in the back of the main street, the other into the back alley. The back door is kept locked for the duration of this adventure. The front door is unlocked unless the PCs are captured and possessed by the dolls, then it is kept locked. The storefront has 2 large glass windows. The first is the store and the workshop. The first floor is the store and the workshop. The upstairs is Giuseppe's living quarters. There is no basement or cellar. When the PCs enter the toy shop, lay out the large map on the inside of the cover. This is the player's map, and they can see everything shown on that map. A copy of the map is included on page 19 for your use, and it has had all the key locations described below. There is no player map for the second floor. The windows of the second floor are all shut but not locked. It will take cooperative effort of 3 doll-size PCs, 1 normal-size one, to open the window. The doorways are all covered with hanging cloth instead of doors. The cloth blocks the sunlight and retains some heat, but it does nothing to stop movement. A1 to A4 display shelves. These shelves are filled with a variety of toys. Many of them have been animated by Maligno. Below is a sampling of toys to be found on each shelf. Animated toys are listed first, with special abilities shown in parentheses afterwards. Some of these special abilities will work only against unarmored, tiny, or smaller opponents. The non-animated toys are listed last. There are many other non-animated toys on these shelves, as well as duplicates of those listed. Animated toys. Alignment, Lawful Evil, Intelligence Average, AC 6, Movement 6, Hit Die 2, 9 each, Thaco 19, Number of Attacks 1, Damage 1, Special Attack, Special Power, Special Defense, Immune to Poison, Cold, Electricity, and Mental Spells. Magic Resistance nil, Size tiny, Morale Fearless 20, XP 175. A1, the display shelf. Animated toys there are 4 darts. They're fly, movement 12, and they charge for 1d points of damage. There's a Jack in the Box, which is what you see on the cover. There's one of them. Automatic surprise when popping out of the box. 2 attacks for 1d3 points of damage. This toy is the one shown on the cover of this adventure. It was altered by Maligno to have a skull head and clawed hands. It is the leader of the toys. The leader of the toys. Speaking of soldiers, Tin Soldier AC 1. Tin Soldier 1 AC 0. The sword inflicts 1d3 points of damage. Got a ragdoll, immune to health, immune to falls and bashing attacks. Wheeled horse, movement 12, charge for 1d2 points of damage, save versus breath, or it could be knocked down. Non-animated toys. Dominoes, card deck, ring toss, sling, acrobat puppets, music box, wooden sword, and ceramic dolls. Plain old ceramic dolls, the boring kind. A2 display shelf, animated toys. Wooden dragon, fly speed 12, breathe fire in a 12-inch by 6-inch cone, 1d6 points of damage, save for half. Punch and Judy puppets 2. The clubs inflict 1d3 points of damage. There's a wooden bear, 16 hit points, a battering ram, 1 charge for 1d6 points of damage. Non-animated toys, bouncing ball, stick puppets, jacks, marbles, wooden animals, and straw dolls. A3 display shelf. Animated toys. Doll in a doll. Creates 5 duplicates, each with 1 less hit point. This is one of those hollow wooden dolls that has a smaller version of it inside. The doll in turn has yet another smaller one version inside, etc. In this case, there are 6 total dolls, all nested within each other. Each can slide around and move and has a pair of articulated arms that it uses to attack. That's awesome. It's just like murderous nesting dolls. Slingshot. Range attack with marbles. 1d3 points of damage. Marionettes 2. Use strings as whip. Range 2 feet. Save versus breath weapon or have 1 limb entangled. So like... this is so cool. Non-animated toys. Dice. Cone pop-up puppet, ceramic animals, ball and peg machine, backgammon, chess, checkers, pickup sticks, building blocks, and wooden puzzles. A4 display shelf, animated toys, roller skates, 1 pair, charge for 1d3 points of damage. Tops 3, touch required to save versus breath weapon or be flung 1d4 points away and suffer 1 point of damage. 1 marionette. Uses strings as whip, range 2 feet, save versus breath weapon, or have 1 limb entangled. Non-animated toys on that shelf are whistles, child's tea set, ice skates, kaleidoscope, pinwheel, Chinese finger traps, juggling balls, chalks, pegboards, and a yo-yo. Alright, we're on to B. This right here. B, the work shelf. Giuseppe keeps supplies and partially finished projects on this shelf. To the right of the shelf is a hooded cloak hung on a wooden peg. To the right of that is the back door leading to the alley. One of the shelves are piles of fine cuts of various woods, jars of paint, sheets of lizard skin used as sandpaper. That's genius. Scraps of cloth, 1 jar of tar, sticky and flammable, bars of soap, lumps of clay, pieces of chalk, balls of string, strips of wire, and traces of leather. There are also many toy pieces here, such as wheels, gears, puppet arms, painted boxes, etc. C. Cabinet. There's a C. Let's get your cabinet there. Supplies and tools are kept here. Pins, needles, thread, glue, paintbrushes, nails, screws, wooden pegs, tar, paper, glass vial of acid, ball of string, whetstone. On the bottom of the shelf, there is a mousetrap, baited with stale cheese. D. Workbench. This large table measures 7 feet by 4 feet and stands 3 feet tall. Scraps of material, wood chips, and snippets of thread liner litter the scarred, paint-splattered surface. Underneath the bench are several wooden crates containing scraps of metal, wood, and cloth. There's a partially built marionette lying here. The body has been assembled, but it has not been painted or dressed. It has not been turned into a carionette yet. but it could possibly be animated by Maligno if he so chose. Next to the doll is an open book that contains Giuseppe's notes on Carionette creation as well as his personal ramblings. The Carionette is created just like any other marionette, so the notes are worthless in that regard. It is Giuseppe himself who provides the magic of animation. Among his ramblings are observations about how carionettes work. This is where the player characters can find out how to get their bodies back. If they take the time to read this book, give them a photocopy of the handout found at the end of the booklet. Excuse me 1 second. E. Fireplace. This is a typical fireplace with a low fire burning in it. A pile of wood is stacked to its left with a small hatchet hanging on the wall above. Fireplace tools, including a poker, broom, shovel, and tongs, lean in the corner to the right. Excuse me. Thanks, Cap. Sorry, he's commenting in my voice. Alright. Where was I? Fireplace. Okay. This is a typical fireplace with a low fire burning in it. A pile of wood is stacked on its left and a small hatchet hangs on the wall above. Fireplace tools, including a poker, broom, and shovel and tongs, lean in the corner to the right. Climbing the flue, which takes 6 rounds, is one way out of the toy shop. However, any of the PC dolls caught in the fire suffers 1d6 points of irreparable damage per round. Climbing the flue without putting out the fire causes 1d3 points of heat damage for 3 consecutive rounds. F. Stairs. These stairs lead up to Giuseppe's living quarters. Each step is about 8 inches high and 1 foot wide. G. Under the stairs. Like many darkened areas under stairs, this one is used for storage. Bolts of cloth and paper, small barrels, water, oil, and grease, and pile of rags are the principal features on this one. H. Tools. The wall here is littered with small pegs upon which are hung the tools of a toy maker. There are saws, knives, chisels, and hammers, tongs, drills, pliers, T-squares, clamps, and a myriad of other tools. Most are small, delicate devices suitable for making tiny items. Underneath the tools is a box of straw. The straw is used for stuffed dolls and to pad small chairs or other such items. 10 to 12. Display tables. Each of these 2 tables sits directly below a window. Toys and dolls are set out here to lure passerby into the shop. The 11 display tables has 3 wooden puppets, not carionettes, that have been animated. The 12 display table has 2 of them. These are animated toys with the special ability to use their strings like a whip. Each has a range of 2 feet and does no damage, but the victim must make a save versus breath weapon to have one limb tangled into the string. This attack only works against tiny size opponents. Animated toys. Lawful evil. Intelligence. Average. AC 6. Movement 6. Hit die 2. 9 each. Thaco 19. Number of attacks 1. Damage 1. Special attacks. Tangling strings. Special defense. Immune to poison. Cold. Electricity. Mental spells. Magic resistance 0. Size tiny. 1 foot tall. Morale fearless 20. Experience 175. The glass in the shop windows can be broken, but not as easily as the characters might assume. After all, they are only 12 inches tall. An individual PC doll pounding on the windows or throwing something at it will not break it. It takes a cooperative effort of 3 or more doll-sized characters to shatter a pane. They must use their collective strength, not just attack as 3 individuals. For example, if they all pick up a hammer too heavy for only one of them to wield, or run at the window with a battering ram-like object, the window will break. The shattering glass has no effect upon their wooden bodies. Obviously, normal-sized PCs would have little problem breaking the window, but the PC dolls this will be quite an easy endeavor. Hang on, I don't know how. I think I gotta change this real quick. Give me 1 second here. I just had to fix the music. All of a sudden it became like a jam band in here. No jazz. I'll just go ambient. Heck with it. I was a little poorly prepared with the music tonight, so I do apologize about that. I'm gonna get a solid playlist for these things one time. Hey man, relaxation is while I'm here, Cap. While I'm here, I know I'm relaxing myself too. This is zenning me out. I'm not gonna lie. All right, I get a sip of water. I'm gonna continue. All right. So you get it, like, right? You can't just three of them just can't just individually bang on it, but they all have to pick up something and work together, and then it'll break the window, which I think is a great distinction. Oh, blurry. There we go. All right. J. Dollhouse. This miniature house is 2 stories high, plus an attic. It is sized just right for the PCs. Like most doll houses, the front wall is missing, leaving nowhere to hide inside. K. Hobby Dragon. The head of this hobby horse is that of a dragon. It is a larger than normal animated toy and a fearsome opponent. It will only animate against human or humanoid intruders. It ignores the PCs while they have doll bodies. Its breath weapon extends in a cone 10 feet long and 5 feet wide, inflicting 2d6 points of damage upon anyone in it. Save versus breath weapon for half damage. Animated toy. Alignment. Lawful evil. Intelligence average. Armor class 6. Movement 6. Hit die 3. Hit points 15. Thaco 17. Number of attacks 1. Damage 1d6. Bite. Special attacks, breath weapon. Special defense, immune to poison, cold, electricity, and mental spells. Magic resistance nil. Size small, 4 feet tall. Morale fearless, 20. Experience, 270. Rocking unicorn. L. Built like a normal rocking horse, this one has a unicorn horn on its forehead. It is larger than a normal It is a larger than normal animated toy. Like the Hobby Dragon, it will only animate against live intruders and will ignore the PCs if in their doll bodies. It only attacks is to charge an opponent and engore him for 1d6 points of damage. To attack again, it must back up and charge. It can do this every round. That is the meanest freaking unicorn I've ever heard of. Animated toy, alignment, lawful evil, intelligence, average, armor class 6, movement 12, hit die 3, hit points 18, Thaco 17, number of attacks 1, damage 1d6, charge, special defense, immune to poison, cold, electricity, mental spells, magic resistance nil, size small, 3 feet tall, morale fearless 20, experience 270. Hoop and stick, M. This animated toy works by having the stick hit the hoop rapidly, thus making it roll forward. The hoop cannot cause any damage itself, but it can fall down and encircle a victim. As long as the victim remains inside the hoop, the stick can strike it twice a turn. If there is no target inside the hoop, the stick must spend a round flipping up the hoop and then roll it forward to find a new victim. You imagine that you're in the shop, just hoop is just bouncing toward you. Animated toy, alignment, lawful evil, intelligence, average, Armor class 6, movement 12, hit die 2, hit points 8, Seclo 19, number of attacks 2, damage 1d3, special defense, immune to poison, cold, electricity, mental spells, magic resistance, nil, size, small, 2 feet tall, morale level, fearless, 20, experience, 175. N, kite. With a griffin painted on it, this kite is able to sail around the room and bump into things, doing 1 point of damage. Animated toy, lawful evil, intelligence average, armor class 6, fly 6, hit dice 2, hit points 8, Seclo 19, 1, damage 1, special defense, immune to the same stuff that all toys are immune to, seems, poison, cold, electricity, and mental spells. So magic resistance, nil, size, small, morale 20, and XP 175. Look at poor old Giuseppe. He never knew it hit him. Just one day, I want to be a real murderer. And just not thinking it's... Poor Giuseppe. Oh, table. This is where Giuseppe has most of his meals. There's a mug, dirty food bowl, and a wooden spoon on the table. A soiled cloth lies crumpled next to it. Its loose threads are beginning to unravel on one end. P. Fireplace. This fireplace is the same shape and size as the one on the first floor. However, it has its own flue that runs next to it, but does not connect to it. The flue from the downstairs fireplace is currently unlit. Q. Kitchen table. This is where Giuseppe prepares his meals. There are several knives, forks, and spoons, and cleaning rags there. Plates, bowls, and cups are stacked neatly along the back, while pots, pans, and firewood are under the table. There's a mousetrap behind the wood pile. R. Food pantry. Must be a pirate pantry. Arr. R. Food pantry. Shelves of food and other common household supplies fill this closet. There are 2 mousetraps on the floor. S. Table. This is one of Giuseppe's favorite places in his humble home. Here he can just plan new toys, read or write, and look out over the streets of the town all the while. T. Bed. This is where Giuseppe sleeps. It is rumpled and unkept. God of the cat is curled up here. It is the only pussy that has been in Giuseppe's bed this decade. U. Closet. This small area holds clothes, books, and other personal effects. Alright, curtain call. Curtain call. Alright. Once the PCs have escaped from the toy shop, they still need to get their own bodies back. First, they need to find some silver needles. Then, they need to find the carionette-possessed bodies. As they wander town searching for these things, they are subject to random encounters. The encounters described below can happen whenever you want them to, and in any order. It is completely up to you to decide where and when to throw out these encounters. Suspicious carionettes. The animated marionettes will know immediately that the dolls are not carionettes. They will move to attack. This encounter should always be set up to allow the PCs a full round to escape before combat begins, should they choose to do so. There is no real need to fight more carionettes at this point in the adventure. It's true, there's not. And stats for carionettes, I'm not going to read them again. You guys know what they are. Dog pack. Dogs are a common part of any town. With the streets largely empty, small packs have begun to roam around. They will attack carionettes and dolls they see moving. The easiest way to avoid this encounter is to play dead. The dogs will sniff the doll bodies, then leave. Julio the Wild Man. The camera's almost useless. All right. This middle-aged man has been driven crazy by the recent events in Odier. He is determined to destroy as many carionettes as he can, and he won't know the difference between the PC dolls and the true carionettes. Julio will attempt to attack with surprise. He is carrying a burning torch, which he swings like a club. Any carionette or doll that touches it must save versus normal fire, using the item saving throw table. And that's noted at table 29 in the DMG, for thick wood. These carionettes got some thick wood. Sorry. Failure means the doll is now burning and will lose 1d3 hit points per round. Wild Man, Julio. Alignment, chaotic neutral, intelligence average, AC 9, movement 12, hit die 1, hit points 5, Thaco 20, number of attacks 1, damage 1d4, club, special attack fire, special damage nil, magic resistance nil, size medium, 6 feet tall, morale level elite, 14, XP 35. Innocence. Angelica is a little girl about 8 years old. She is just wandering aimlessly, playing with whatever is around her. When she spots one of the PCs in doll body, she gets very excited and tries to pick him or her up to play with. She has a movement rating of 6, but no other combat abilities. Remember, none of the carionettes in Odier will harm a child. Other denizens. The creation of the domain of Odier has caused few other creatures to become menaces. Giant rats now roam the alleys and sometimes bold enough to attack people in the streets. If the PCs play dead, the rats will sniff their bodies and leave them alone. Giant rats. 5. Alignment neutral. Evil. Intelligence semi. AC 7. Movement 12. Hit die 1/2. Hit point 4, 3, 2, 1. Go! Teen Titans, go! Thaco 20. Attack 1, damage 1d3, special attack nil, special damage nil, magic resistance nil, size tiny, 2 feet long, morale unsteady, which means they're shakeable, so like it's 5. Experience 15 points. This encounter should be used only if you feel things are going too easily for the PCs. Here, the PCs run into Maligno. He knows immediately that they are not under his control, and he knows he cannot control them with his power to animate the toys. However, he is traveling with 3 carionettes and can summon 2d4 more, which will arrive in 3 rounds. The PCs probably have to flee to survive. Alignment, chaotic evil, intelligence, extremely. AC 4, movement 9, HD 6, hit points 30, Thaco 15, number of attacks 1, damage 1d3, special attacks, Otto's irresistible dance, ventriloquism, and taunt. So, special defense, he's immune to poison, cold, electricity, and most spells. Before the PC dolls can recover their bodies, they will need silver needles. The silver needles can be found only in the silversmith shop. Once inside, there are no encounters. It takes an hour to find the stash of 36 needles. Finding the PC's live bodies is another story. The carionettes have all wandered off to enjoy having a real body. Each player character's body is in a different location. You can decide which body is in which location using the map on the gatefold. And then the locations are thus. So they're going to be in one of 6 places, according to this. So they're probably in one of the taverns, at the brewery, at the baker, at the candlestick maker, at the garden, in the courtyards, at the jeweler in the town square. Now, if you thought I was going to rhyme, I couldn't pull it off. All the characters are alone except for the one in the tavern. He or she is among a crowd of other possessed adults, all drinking and carousing. Fortunately, none of them have any class skills. If any spot a PC in doll form, they know immediately that these are not fellow carionettes. However, PCs who have already regained their bodies have a chance to fool this crowd. The bodies still have any wounds that they might have had from before. So, if they show up as carionettes, the jig is up. Because they can smell their own. But if they show up in the PC bodies, then they can't sniff out the PCs. So, I just keep that in mind. Celebrating people. Because you never know when you got to cut celibate folk. Celebratory folk. Celibate folk. Hang on, I feel like that's loud. There we go. I think that's probably better. All right. Celebrating people. 13 of them. Alignment, chaotic neutral, intelligence average, armor class 10, movement 12, HD 1. Cut them down. Hit points 4 each. Thaco 20. Number of attacks 1. Damage 1d3 with a makeshift weapon. Busting beer bottles and busting heads. Special attacks nil. Special defense nil. Size medium, 5 to 6 feet tall. Morale steady. I think that number should go up if they're drunk. Like they should be fearless if they're drunk. XP 35 each. Man, that's the same hit points as the Wild Man, as Julio. And I don't know. I'd give Julio more hit points if I were running this nowadays, because Julio shouldn't have same as the bar patron. When the PC regains his or her body, the carrionet body remains lifeless for an hour. See the Monsters Compendium entry on carionets, page 31. The doll is easily destroyed while it's helpless. Far. Always far. Remember sweet Georgia Brown. Oh, Lord, there's a far. Finding Maligno. The evil puppet has been busy while the PCs were dealing with the toy shop and regaining their human bodies. Confident that there is nothing in Odier that can threaten him, he has decided to put on a show for the children. Their applause and laughter is one of the few things that can make Maligno feel good again. As the PCs are wandering around Odier, they hear noises when they pass the Seclo Theater. I always called it Selco when I was younger. I don't know why. I'm Italian and I still mispronounced it. It's Secolo. Secolo. My son loves the Ricola commercials. I'm just not for nothing, but you know. Lost my track again. There we go. Show for the children. As the PCs are wandering around Odier, they hear noises as they pass the Secolo Theater. If they are cautious, they can peek in without being seen. Inside, Maligno is performing with several carionets on the stage. The show is called Sir Ardurin and the Worm, a variant of Sir George and the Dragon. Maligno plays the part of Sir Ardurian, and he is dressed in armor. An animated wooden dragon plays the part of the villain. 4 carionets from the rest of the troupe, each dressed in a costume. A squirrel, a damsel, a king, and a court jester. The characters have 2 basic options: to attack now while the children are in the theater, or to wait until the show is over and the children leave. Third option would be to forget they ever saw it. But what fun would that be? If the PCs charge in now, they endanger the innocent children. Any PCs causing harm to a child automatically fails a Ravenloft Powers check, as stated in Forbidden Lore box set Oaths of Evil, the ultimate acts of darkness. Maligno will not harm the children, but he is not above using them to shield himself. The children will flee, however, if threatened, yelled at, or intimidated. However, the crowd of scrambling kids will delay the PCs for a round, allowing Maligno to get a head start. If the PCs wait until the show is over, the children playfully file out of the theater, leaving Maligno and the carionets. The evil puppets will remain in the theater for about half an hour. During that time, Maligno plots with the carionets to cavort around the stage. After that, they will leave the building by the back door. If the PCs let Maligno and his band get out of the building, you will have to decide what happens next. Maligno could go back to the toy shop or to any other location. If he is being chased by the PCs, he is certain to conduct guerrilla-style attacks on them with a seeming unlimited supply of carionets and animated toys. He got bodies to burn. Maligno will also defend Giuseppe from the PCs with his life, and he will prevent the puppet maker from contacting the PCs. Animated wooden dragon, alignment, lawful evil, intelligence average, AC 6, movement 6, Flying speed 12, HD 2, hit points 15, Thaco 19, number of attacks 1, damage 1, special attack fire breath, 12 inches long, 1d6 damage, special defense immune to poison, cold, electricity, mental spells, magic resistance nil, size tiny, fearless 20, experience 175. If the battle goes poorly, Maligno will try to escape. If the PCs have not blocked the exits, or it looks like he will actually get away, the ghosts of the theater rise up. The spirits of the murdered parents appear, barring the exits for Maligno. The doors and windows slam shut. A ghostly chant of, "Burn! Burn! Burn him! Burn him!" echoes through the theater. Between the efforts of the ghosts and the PCs, Maligno will not be able to escape the theater. The lanterns hung on the walls are readily available source for fire. Once a flame touches wood or cloth in the theater, it burns quickly. It is impossible to get out the flames. The ghosts will make no effort to help or hinder the PCs. The characters can open the doors to escape without any trouble, although the doors slam shut behind them. If the characters are foolish enough to not escape before the flames engulf them too, the ghosts will not help them. The spirits are only interested in the vengeance of Maligno. Conclusion. Maligno is destroyed in the theater fire. At that time, all the carionettes and animated toys fall limply to the ground, inert and lifeless. Misty borders form from the edge of the domain. If the PCs enter the mist, they are transported wherever you want to take the party to next. This can come back to the normal campaign world or to another domain in Ravenloft. This is a low-level adventure. It will garner from 1,000 to 3,000 experience points for the party. If you want to use this setting again, the spirit of Maligno can live on. Should Giuseppe make another marionette, it might be possessed and animated by Maligno. The theater would remain burned down, and the ghost of the theater would still be laid to rest. Alternately, Giuseppe might escape the domain himself. He could be making carionettes on his own back in the PC's campaign world. Maligno himself is trapped in Odier, but Giuseppe and the carionettes are not. This evil can arise again. Ah, the innocence of a child. That innocence can act as a shadow where evil can hide, protected by its dark cloak. This is the tale of an innocent toy, so harmless in the hands of a child, so deadly when it steps away from the shadows and into the cold light of reality. Appearance. Maligno is a 1-foot-tall wooden marionette, a puppet controlled by strings. He is painted and carved to look like a happy, friendly little boy. He wears loose green shorts that have suspender-like shoulder straps called lederhosen, and a white short-sleeve shirt, a long-sleeve jacket, a cap with a single white feather stuck in it. And his creator, Giuseppe, is a super craftsman. Maligno's body and face have dozens of articulated parts. His eyebrows, lips, and mouth, even individual fingers, can move all independently. This gives him great expressiveness, agility, and hands from which to choke the life out of a bitch. Maligno's voice is like that of any other 8-year-old boy. High-pitched, even, and a bit shrill. He is a consummate voice actor. Maligno can sound honest, naive, bullying, petulant, fearful, or just about anything else. He is not able to imitate other people's voices, though. Background. Maligno is the unique creation of the mad toy maker Giuseppe. Driven by his own demented fantasy of creating a son for himself, Giuseppe crafted a marionette like no other. So strong was Giuseppe's desire that his puppet actually came to life. There's an old adage that says, "Be careful what you wish for. You might get it." That is what happened to poor Giuseppe. Though the marionette's body looks like that of an innocent schoolboy, the puppet is actually a thoroughly selfish. The puppet is actually a thoroughly selfish and evil creature, blinded by his paternal feelings. Giuseppe is paternal. Yeah. Paternal? He's blinded by his paternal feelings? Oh, because he loves a doll and he'd do... Okay, I got it now. Yeah. Blinded by his paternal feelings, Giuseppe is unable to see the puppet for what he really is. Giuseppe's delight with his new creation knew no bounds. He named the puppet Figlio and showered him with love. Delighted with his work, Giuseppe presented Figlio to the town. While the doll maker adored his creation, most of the townspeople did not. The adults of Odier didn't believe in Figlio, and the puppet grew to hate them even more than he hated not being real. His envy and rage and hatred grew until it included even his father, Giuseppe. But the children of Odier were a different matter, for they believed in Figlio. The puppet loved the children, for they loved him in return. The puppet hatched a plot. He would kill all the adults of Odier. With only the children left, Figlio could play all day and be given the adoration he deserved. The angry puppet coerced Giuseppe into making more puppets, each with a living doll. Wait a minute, each with a? No, was a. Each was a living doll, but they were cold and inhuman. Not at all like Figlio. To Giuseppe's horror, they obeyed Figlio and ignored their true creator. During the theater show, Figlio's carionettes, as he called the puppets, slew all the adults present, but they spared the children. This heinous act carved out a small domain in Ravenloft just for Figlio, and the entire town was transported into the demiplane of dread. That night, Figlio renamed himself Maligno. He sent his adult carionettes into the streets to look for other adults so that his puppets could take over their bodies. They would become the new adults of Odier, all loyal to Maligno. Sorry. All loyal to Maligno. Maligno, in turn, tried to take over the body of Giuseppe. He discovered that the demiplane of Ravenloft confers a curse onto all of its lords. He alone of all the carionettes is unable to inhabit a human body. Wah, wah. In fact, any harm befalling Giuseppe seemed to affect Maligno as well. Current sketch. To this day, Maligno burns with rage and frustration. He abhors his own body and wishes that he were always human. Most of his plots have one or two major themes. He is either trying to get a human body for himself, or he is trying to kill the adults that he can find. Maligno keeps Giuseppe prisoner, forcing him to make more toys and carionettes as he needs them. He gives many of these to the children of Odier as friends and protectors. Hence the MacGuffin doll at the beginning. Yeah. The evil little puppets. Sorry. The evil little puppet still needs the adoration of the crowd. He puts on regular shows at the Seclo Theater for the children. He is a wonderful actor, drawing gasps of wonder and pearls of laughter from his young audience. Maligno basks in the glow of their attention for that brief time. When a show is over, he is again forced to contemplate his true nature. Maligno is at his worst. Woe to the grown man or woman that meets the malevolent... What is it with M's in me? Woe to the grown man or woman that meets the malevolent marionette soon after. We're just going to leave it like that. Confronting Maligno. Maligno is a type of doll golem that's called a carionette. However, he is far more powerful than a normal carionette. He carries a folding straight razor whose blade is a full 4 inches long, and he wields it with unnatural viciousness. Like any other carionette, he carries 10 silver needles. He can throw them up to 15 feet away. While they paralyze whatever limb they strike,
Like any other carionet, he carries 10 silver needles. He can throw them up to 15 feet away where they paralyze whatever limb they strike. Once a character is completely immobilized, a normal carionet can drive more needles into the person's neck and transfer its essence into their body. Not so with Maligno. He can call one of his carionets to take over a body, though, but he can't take it over on his own. Maligno is far more likely to carve up his victims like a side of beef, particularly if he is in a foul mood. Hey, give me the beef! Maligno has a few other special abilities. He can climb walls with an 85% chance of success, just like a thief. Using string or thread to help him, the odds rise to 95%. He can cast taunt and ventriloquism at will. His touch has the effect of Otto's irresistible dance, except the victim gets a saving throw that is not allowed under normal circumstances. Unlike other carionets, which are immune to only mind-altering spells, Maligno is also immune to almost all spells. He can only be directly affected by spells that cause burning damage, i.e. burning hands, magic missiles, flame spear. Flame spear, fireball, flame arrow, etc. Spells with indirect effects such as web, wall of fog, darkness, 15 feet radius, and so forth affect him normally. He is immune to cold and electricity in all forms. A warp wood spell would inflict 3d points of damage upon Maligno, slow him for 1d3 rounds. A turn wood spell works normally on Maligno, so much so that he doesn't even get a saving throw. I'll read that again. A turn wood spell works normally on Maligno, so much so that he doesn't even get a saving throw. If Maligno is injured, he can be repaired. Any of his carionets or Giuseppe can at will fix him. A single carionet or Giuseppe can repair 1 hit point a round. Up to 4 carionets can work on him at a time. However, they cannot do the most delicate work, which means that they cannot raise his hit points to above 24. Only Giuseppe can fix those last few hit points. He is also the only one who can repair damage caused by fire. Thus, Maligno protects Giuseppe from harm. Only his father can fix him up when he is really burnt. If Maligno is reduced to 0 hit points or fewer through normal damage, he remains alive but cannot move or attack. He can still talk, taunt, and use his animate powers, though. Even if Maligno is burned to 0 or few hit points, his body is not utterly destroyed. Giuseppe can rebuild his body and, by using a bit of the ashes, restore Maligno to that new body. So there's a little bit of magic there. There is probably a way to utterly destroy Maligno, but no one has found it yet. Maligno's most potent ability is, without a doubt, his power to animate the toys. He can do this at any toy that he sees within 30 feet of him. He can animate no more than 6 toys around and can have no more than 24 toys animated at a given time. The toy stays animated until Maligno decides to remove his control. Animating toys does not prevent the puppet from moving or attacking in the same round. An animated toy has the same basic combat abilities as a carionet. It does not have the wall climbing, silver needles, or ventriloquism abilities. However, it is immune to poison, cold, electricity, and mind-altering spells. Each toy will have a special ability related to its design. For example, a Jack-in-a-Box automatically gets surprised when it pops out of the box. A toy horse moves with a speed of 12. A toy soldier does 1d3 points of damage. You will have to determine the special ability of a toy as necessary. All the animated toys in this adventure have defined special abilities. Alright, Odier, the domain. The streets of Odier twist back upon the town like the thoughts of a madman. This condition prevails for as long as Maligno is alive, and he can only be killed by magic or fire. Even then, his spirit lives on in a used suitable body. If he is killed, the edge of the domain revert to the misty border. Anyone entering the mist is transported to another place by the normal rules of the demiplane. Maligno can open his borders purely by concentrating, but he has never chosen to do so. Giuseppe is intimately linked to the structure of this domain. He is the one person immune to the possession power of the Carionettes, and he is the only person who can completely repair Maligno. They will do whatever is needed to keep Giuseppe safe. If necessary, Maligno will even have his cohorts paralyze Giuseppe with their silver needles so that they can carry him off to a safe hiding place. Odier is inhabited by mostly Carionettes and wandering children. Maligno makes sure that he and the children are well cared for. There are animals here, such as dogs, cats, rats, and even giant bats. But there are few adults hiding in cellars and attics. They grimly attack any toy, especially puppets, that they encounter. Most avoid the children for fear that the Carionettes guarding them will spot them. The adults will befriend other adults. So, that is the Created. Ladies and gentlemen, we have finished the Created.
Little fun thing. There's a book called Forged Darkness. You know what? Let's take a look at the book real quick, because the book's right up here. Okay, so there's a book, Forged Darkness, right? It is a whole bunch of magic items, rare magic items in the game. So I thought once a stream, maybe, because they're not really long entries. I thought we could go ahead and take a look at one item a stream. Just quick once over. Once how you do. Once look at the undercarriage. However you want to put it. we're just gonna take a quick peek at it. And we'll do one of those. If there's any that you all find particularly interesting, leave it down in the comments, and maybe we'll go a little bit deeper. By the way, speaking of the video in the comment section and whatnot, these live streams are only going to be up for 24 hours after the live stream. So I'll give everybody a little bit of a chance who wants to see it. But if you want to guarantee that you see these live streams, come and see them live. When are they going to happen? I don't know. Not much on schedules. So they're going to happen. They're going to pop up, and you're going to have to pay attention. You guys know how to do that. I trust you all. And if you're not here, you'll have 24 hours to catch it. But all this talkiness, this bits and fun stuff that goes on, that's all going to be cut out when the Created gets released. So if you want to get in my ear and have fun, watch me flub and talk about all the extra stuff we talk about, you got to be here live. So yeah, I'm trying to think. I lost my I had a whole sheet written up what I wanted to talk about prior to reading, and I left it upstairs. So, wait, I'm going to be guessing here. So, let's you know what? Let's go ahead and take a look at the let's turn this music's back on. Whoops. Oh, dead air. It's not good, Jason. No, I went and hit the wrong music button. There we go. So that should be back on. How's the volume sound out there? I think it sounds pretty good, if not a touch loud. Let me back some of this off a little bit here. There we go. All right, we just want it loud enough to hear it. So, Forge of Darkness. Okay. Let's pick a number. How are we gonna? If only we had a random number generator. If only. All right. Well, I'm just gonna put my finger on my screen here, and that's how we're gonna pick the first one. That. Oh, You know what? We're gonna stay thematic. We're gonna stay on theme here because Giuseppe is a toy maker. He actually has an entrance in here. You can see Giuseppe's toys, page 31. So let's go down and take a look at Giuseppe's toys. No, I'm not just gonna seek. I'm gonna scroll this entire way. All right, I'm gonna pick up the pace here a little bit. All right, 17. Nope, that's not it. 26. Nope. Oh, Captain, my Captain, if you're out there, let me know where you're at in Texas. Again, this stream's for my brother heading across country. 31. All right. So, Giuseppe's Toys. The domain of Odier is not large. From east to west, it measures less than 300 feet. From the north to south, it's hardly larger. Although sometimes called an endless city, there are less than 100 buildings within its borders. At the heart of this diminutive realm, however, is the vengeful automaton Maligno. Fashioned long ago by the toy maker Giuseppe, this evil doll has become a mockery of the artisan's dream to create the perfect doll. For Giuseppe did indeed realize his dream of creating the perfect doll, so perfect that it came to life. He lived his remaining long years in misery and repentance, for Giuseppe's creation proved vengeful and evil instead of loving and kind, as a boy or a doll should be, and it eventually drew its own creator under its spell. Commanded by his creation, Giuseppe fashioned an army of living dolls called carionettes that turned the adults on Odier and killed them. Transformations. Of course, there's much more to the life of a master toy maker than this sad tale. Over the decades of his life, Giuseppe crafted enough toys to fill his shop many times over. Without exception, these beautiful and delightful things brought smiles to the faces of the young and old alike. With the ascension of Maligno and Odier's incorporation into Ravenloft, however, many of these treasures became warped into evil things. This section describes the magical items originally created in the domain of Odier. In some cases, these items have been taken by adventurers who visited Odier and then managed to escape the land's grasp. In other cases, however, it is impossible to say what force transported these items from that grim domain. It may be that Maligno himself was able to cast these objects into the mist, perhaps hoping to spread his influence into other lands. After all, even if most of the toys he scattered were lost, a few surely found their mark. Like caltrops sown before an advancing army, these horrible objects would cause pain and suffering among all the adults, no matter the final outcome. Maligno. The sinister lord of Odier, Maligno is almost impossible to destroy. It is said that only fire and magic can unmake him. Well, the truth of the matter is, even these destructive forces will not destroy him utterly. The destruction of Maligno's body will not end this ghoulish doll's menace, for his warped spirit will simply seek out another toy to inhabit. It may be that Maligno's final destruction, however that deed may be accomplished, would also strip the following items of their enchantments. Of course, there is no way of knowing whether this is the case as long as Maligno lives. The reverse might even be true. It could be well that these terrible toys provide a refuge for Maligno's essence. And long as even one of these items remain, Maligno may be impossible to destroy. Other creations. Though only the most deadly playthings are listed hereafter, Giuseppe created many, many other toys. There have been many other mentioned that may have been found across the land of the mist. There are a great variety of animated dolls. There are also animated hobby horses shaped like dragons or chimera, a child's ball, A crystal ball filled with snowflakes. That may provide a glimpse of the future. Toys, drums and rattles, hoops and sticks. Scrying alphabet, building blocks, wagons, baby dolls, and baby carriages. All these creations can be found from Maligno's workshop. There is no odor so bad as that which arises from goodness tainted. Henry David Thoreau, Walden, 1854. Let's see, which one of the creations should we look at? Let's see, we've got the dancing men, the death in a box. Can I say death? The porcelain tops, the four tops, runaway bay, tin soldiers, and toy nightmares. Let's look at the Jack in the Box. I kind of want to look at them all. All right. Death in the Box. Perhaps the most frightful of the toys created by Giuseppe is this awful parody of a child's Jack in the Box. Under the corrupting hand of Maligno, it has become a most sinister relic. When closed, the Death in the Box looks like nothing more than an old box, still sturdy oaken, with rusty creak planks protruding from one side. The surface of the box is skillfully painted with dancing skeletons and other macabre forms. When the crank is turned, a porcelain skull-faced clown springs from the box. The clown's clothes are torn, tattered satin like that of a harlequin. A faint odor of carrion lingers about the box. Manufacture. The Death in the Box was fashioned from a fine red oak, painstakingly sanded, painted to a bright, rich finish. He carved delicate, festive images into the wood, then inlaid the images with mother of pearl. But beneath the corrupting influence of Maligno, the painting has taken on a decidedly sinister tone. The clown's face and hands were molded of fine porcelain. The clown's clothing was meticulously sewn from brightly colored satin and fox fur. Lastly, single silver bell, said to be of elven origins, was sewn to the tassel of the cap. The spring and crank mechanism were built to endure, that the toy would operate well for years. Indeed, Giuseppe's toy mechanisms were said to rival many of those of accomplished clockmakers. But after its corruption, the toy's appearance changed. The clouds became dancing skeletons. The porcelain face became a grotesque skull, and wicked talons replaced the delicate hands. Use. This toy is operated by turning its crank. After 2d4 turns of the cranking clank and hearing its tiny macabre tune, the lid pops open and the deadly clown springs out. If used in isolation at night, the clown manifests its evil nature. If the box has been consecrated by sprinkling it with the blood of a murder victim, it will manifest its evil every time. "80% of the time, it works every time." Powers. In the light of day or in the midst of a crowd, this toy does not manifest its powers. It appears to be just normal, though a little horrid. But in the dark of night, when operated in isolation, where it is a 50% chance that its wicked powers activate. If this toy is consecrated to evil with blood, it will always manifest its powers when in isolation. And 50% of the time in the daylight or crowds until... If this toy is consecrated to evil with blood, it will always manifest its power when in isolation, and 50% of the time in daylight or crowds until its present owner dies. Then the method of activation returns to normal. Each time this Death in a Box activate, the Dungeon Master may select what happens from the following list or roll a 1d6. Horror check. All who watch the clown pop out of the box sees its eyes flash wickedly and hears a horrible ringing laughter. They must make a horror check. The person operating the mechanism suffers a -4 penalty to this check. Only those seeing the clown pop up are affected. Just hearing the box music has no effect. 2. Rending attack. The cloud's wicked talons lash out at one person who opened up the box. The clown's hands will stretch as far as 6 feet to reach the target. If a person is unassailable for some reason, the clown will attack the nearest vulnerable person. Each hand strikes with a Seclo of 15 and inflicts 1d10 points of damage. It is even more horrific when you factor in Seclo. I'm just kidding, I love Seclo. Although I have to admit I used to call it Seclo. But I don't think we need to get into that old debate. 3 skeletons. When the lid pops open, 2d4 full-size skeletal clowns spring out and attack those around the box. These are equal to Strahd skeletons. See Monstrous Compendium Ravenloft Appendix. And will fight until destroyed. Number 4, Death Spell. When the clown springs out of the box, it fixes its smoldering gaze on the nearest person. This character must make a save versus death magic. Or suffer from a fatal seizure or choking and instantly be slain. That death spell was no joke. It was no joke. In the 2nd edition. If you ever had to save death spell or death magic, you know what I'm talking about. 5. Energy draining. This person who activated the Death in a Box becomes charged with entropic energy from the negative material plane. The next person he touches, whether friend or foe, is affected as if by an energy draining spell. The victim loses 2 levels. 6 on a 1d6. Always stay hydrated. If you're out there and you're traveling cross country and you're in the middle of Texas and it's 7:26 at night where you're at, this is rather specific. Just make sure you stay hydrated because you don't want to pass out on your way to California. Ain't that right, Cap? Again, if you're just tuning in, my brother Cap, this is for him. He not the water, the stream, because he's traveling out to California, leaving that East Coast life behind. Oh, he's leaving Atlanta, heading for the Californian sunshine. I got the wrong music going for that, but Cap, good luck traveling out to California. I'd say I miss you, but I didn't live with you anyway. So anyway, number 6 on the 1d6. The last one is number 6, nothing. The magic of the Death in a Box does not manifest. However, the skeletal clown still springs from its hiding place, possibly frightening an unsuspecting onlooker, causing a fear check. So, even the nothing in Ravenloft could still end up causing a fear check. Brutal. Failure results in the witness trying to flee, or if unable to flee, he suffers a penalty of -2 to all rolls and armor class checks. Spells face a chance of 25% minus the caster's level to misfire. For more drama, the DM I love it. For more drama, the DM may wish to have the victim make a system shock roll or feint. Can we stop a second here and appreciate how a roll of nothing on a dice for a DM still could possibly cause a fear check, which could lead to all kinds of negatives for spell casting, spell misfire, and possibly make a system shock check, and could possibly feint. And that's considered nothing happening. Ravenloft did not care. There was... I mean... Yeah, I'm not going to get into all that. Curses. Curses. While many would argue that the powers of the Death in the Box constitute curses, the magics of this foul toy are every bit as dangerous to the user as it is obvious manifestations of evil. Anyone who willingly takes possession of this item draws the attention of the most malevolent forces, the result of an increase in corrupting influence of the character's deepest fears. Thus, any powers check that the character is called upon to make while he owns the Death in the Box, whether that object is currently on his person or not, is doubled. Man. Any powers check that the character makes, whether the object... Damn. So if you have to save against like a 10% powers check, it'd be 20. It's brutal by holding it. But don't go messing with decayed Jack in the Boxes. You won't have no problem. I think that's one of the bits of life lessons my grandmother told me before she opened up a box that you had to twist it and it locked in. I don't know. It's some weird box. But anyway, destruction. Like the body of Maligno, the Death in the Box is only vulnerable to magic or fire. However, only certain forms of attack will actually destroy the toy. Most attacks will leave this foul toy unharmed. Those burdened with the Death in the Box must perform a wearisome amount of research before they learn how to destroy it. Only the fires of Mount Doom, only the flames of a funeral pyre can permanently harm the Death in the Box. Other blades, no matter how intense, have little effect. Other blazes, no matter how intense, have little effect, for the toy reforms after such damage. Only certain spells will affect this toy. The powerful Sun Ray and Energy Drain spells are effective against the Death in the Box. If either of these spells is cast upon the toy, it will crumble into a fine dust and forever be destroyed. Other usually destructive spells malform or apparently damage this toy. Other usually destructive spells may form only... Malform? Other usually destructive spells may damage his toy, but after 5 turns, the Death in the Box will reform. Legends. No. In the year of Grey Worm in Falkovnia, court records report that the burning of a witch, a young lad, In the year of Grey Worm in Falkovnia, court records report the burning of a witch, a young lad accused of slaying his playmates with black magic. Though the boy swore that he had caused no harm, and that the foul deeds were performed by his toy Jack-in-the-Box, the courts found him guilty and the execution was carried out. Investigation found that those who had died bullied and beaten the lad, publicly humiliating him time and time again. When the child came into possession of the purported murder box from a mysterious benefactor, one by one his tormentors either disappeared or died horribly. If indeed the lad did not perform these crimes, then it may be that the nefarious toy is possessed of its own dark intelligence and acts to protect its owner by itself. Sorry, let me try that again. If indeed the lad did not perform these crimes, then it may be that this nefarious toy is possessed of its own dark intelligence and acts to protect its owner by itself. That is truly a frightful prospect. Another story tells of a girl who possessed this toy. She was abused by her step-parents and died. After her death, it seems that the box protected her brothers and sisters. Our parents met grim fates.
I'm sure I can get back to the point where these are actually something resembling interesting. I appreciate you guys watching. Eventually, I am going to do what I feel like is a mini gazetteer. And Feast of the Goblins. That's the one I was thinking of. But look how thick this is. And like all the stuff that came with this. Feast of the Goblins is like pretty close to like gazetteer size book.